Iba ko na. Iba ko muna yan.
Uy, ba yung ano?
Don't worry. Yung kanina, ang report ng my friends.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we say in Bicol, marhay na hapon po sa Indogabos. Welcome to the afternoon session of our webinar entitled The Road Ahead, Challenges and Responses of Libraries in the New Normal. I am Laila and I will be your moderator for this afternoon session. And I am joined by Sir Carlos Eclevia of Regalo Touching Lives. This webinar again is brought to us by the Bicol University Library System in partnership with Regalo Touching Lives. Before we start, I'd like to mention some reminders, some house rules again. First, the webinar is recorded. All attendees will be muted and video off except for the moderator and resource speaker to ensure clear video streaming and to avoid any distraction to the speakers and to the rest of the participants. You will have the opportunity to submit questions, comments by typing in the chat box and Q&A box in the control panel on the lower right side of the screen. You may send in your questions anytime during the presentation. However, we will collect this and address them at the end of the presentation. These certificates will be given. They will be sent through your registered email. The evaluation link will be posted at the end of the second topic. You need to finish the session or at least 2 hours into the session to be able to get a certificate. If you lost the connection or unexpectedly your computer hang up, refresh your browser and enter the webinar room again using the same link. Just like this morning session, we would like to request for your active participation throughout this afternoon session. So while waiting, I will just mention again the reminder. So again, you can use the Q&A mode in the control panel. And if you want to send your greetings, you'd like to say hi to everyone, you may use the chat box at the lower right portion also of the screen. Again, we apologize for some technical problems a while ago. So if that happens again, you may just refresh your browser and then enter the webinar room again. By the way, we would like to thank everyone who participated in the morning session. We got an overwhelming response, positive comments from the participants. Thank you very, very much. As of the moment, there are 475 participants already in the room. Hello po, maray na hapon. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just scroll down and see who's in the room. We have from Jose Panganiban, Camarines Norte. We have 496 already. We have from Zambales. Hello po. Watching from Dipolog City, Ma'am Alabata. Hello, ma'am. Tagum City. We have also from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Hello, good afternoon. Or is it good morning there? We are also live in YouTube. We have the link. Yes. Ma'am Aida Hontiveros again. Good afternoon. Diyos maray na aldaw. Quezon City Public Library. Hello po. Okay, so We already have 512. Keep on coming. Thank you, Paul. Welcome to this webinar. So, again, if you would like to use the chat box, you can tell us from what province or city or library you are joining us from. And you can, well, as I can see naman your name, so that we can acknowledge you. From Pampanga, CDO, Baguio, Las Piñas. Hi, Cindy. Good afternoon also. I see familiar names. Ma'am Lani Abrigo, good afternoon. Also, we have a participant from UAE. Good afternoon. Also, while we're waiting for the others to join in, can anyone share some takeaways from this morning session? What have you learned from the comprehensive discussion of Sir Rene Manlangit about copyright?
Marilu.
From Cebu City, Ma'am Marilu, good afternoon. A special greetings from Miss Anne. Ma'am Shawnee Amante, good afternoon. Also from Sultan Kudarat, we have also from South Cotabato. Meron pong gustong mag-share ng kanilang natutunan, some takeaways from the morning session. By the way, most of the participants are asking if they're going to have a copy of the presentations. Yes, we will send the copies of the presentations through your email. The link to the evaluation will be posted later at the end of the webinar, towards the end. And what else? Your e-certificate for participation. But you have to answer the evaluation to get your e-certificate. And also, we don't only have librarians, librarian participants. We also have teachers. Welcome po, Ma'am Catherine Vivar, from your pamangkin, Anne. Pwede pong bumate. You can type in your. Okay, we have from Southwestern University, Cebu, Ma'am Belsa. So, from Lanao del Norte, all the way from Lanao del Norte. And the National Library, we have a representative, someone watching from the National Library. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. Good day also from La Verdad Christian College, Pampanga and Caloocan. From San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. DepEd Schools Office of Quezon City. Good afternoon po, ma'am. La Union Provincial Library. Ma'am Emma Ray, good afternoon po. Ma'am Marilyn Perez, hi ma'am. Sheila Echaluce, maray na hapon. Okay, okay. It's from Sir Reynaldo Cebuala Jr. He's sending in his takeaways from this morning session. He said, Um, from multiple to limited copyright, I've learned from the morning session. Yes, thank you, sir. Nakinig talaga si Sir Reynaldo. Watching from Benguets, Ma'am February. Um, from Cagayan de Oro, Habiba.
Habiba.
Miss Eden and Sir Angelo from Legazpi City. Hello. Okay, also from Sir Miguel Jose, copyright should be protected. Yes. Anything else? Other takeaways? Or probably some expectations naman for the two topics that we're gonna have this afternoon. We have two topics. The first is on information literacy, a very interesting topic, especially for academic libraries. We have a very competent speaker for that topic. And of course, we have also from the public library sector, we have a provincial librarian as our speaker to share the experiences of their library on regarding the challenges and the responses that they made um, due to the pandemic. Ma'am Joanne Madrona watching from Legazpi Albay, marayang hapon po. From Palo Leyte, Vigan Ilocos Sur, Zamboanga, Ma'am Villanueva, good afternoon. Okay, I'm just waiting for the queue to start our first topic. So far, we have 619 participants in this webinar room. In YouTube, we'll check how many are currently viewing our live session. Ma'am Marilu, good afternoon sa lahat watching from Cebu City. Ma'am Rodora Valdez from De La Salle. Oh, from Richie Banugan, amendment of RA 10372. So yun ang naalala niya from the morning session. Okay, we can probably start. Okay, so our first speaker actually doesn't need a long introduction. He is a familiar face in the different webinars nowadays, and I would say he's one of the young, proactive, and dynamic Filipino librarians that we have. He is the Senior Expert Librarian and Information Literacy Coordinator of Nazarbayev University Library in Nur Sultan, Kazakhstan. His programs focus on developing information literacy modules, integrating information literacy activities in library programming, and raising media and information literacy awareness in the local setting. He won third place during the first international information literacy contest at Wuhan University in Wuhan, China in 2010. He's going to be sharing his expertise today in information literacy, teaching and learning at the social distance. With that, I'd like to ask for your help in giving a warm virtual welcome to Mr. Joseph Young. Good afternoon, Joseph. Okay, Okay, we'll just wait for Mr. Joseph Yap to join the room.
Hi everyone.
Hi,
I
Joseph.
am not
There he
really sure
is.
if I'm live.
Yes, you are.
Am I live?
Okay, yes, we can see you, Joseph. Good morning from Kazakhstan.
Let me. I'm live.
Yes.
I'm relying on the chat.
You're
Okay. I really have no idea. But anyway, so I'll start sharing my screen. Uh, Application window. For a while. Hold on.
okay, so we currently have 672
So
participants.
there.
How about in
I
YouTube?
cannot hear myself, so I'll just
150.
move on. Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Kazakhstan. First of all, I would like to thank Bicol University Library System and of course Regalo Touching Lives for this another great webinar opportunity. I hope you um, kayo magsawa na makinig sa aking mga webinars. I hope that my session for this afternoon would be practically useful for all types of libraries and there. So, in the current situation here in our library, since the beginning when the pandemic coronavirus was uh, spreading and entered into Kazakhstan, we are preparing ourselves to do our modules, to transform them from the in-person teaching to virtual classes. So at the current situation, our university decided to completely have virtual experience until the end of the year. So just to monitor if I'm doing well, let me just check. Okay, so let me know in the administrator side of the webinar if my voice is clear. So I'll just do like that because I cannot really see myself.
Yes, just it's
So
clear.
also, currently, since we are pushing through the fall semester, and it's the 2020-2021 academic year, this is the start. Actually, this week until for the next 3 weeks, we'll be having virtual library orientations, and it's good that our librarians are really prepared for that. So I hope that through this webinar, we have challenges, yes, based on the title of the webinar, but we have to respond to these challenges in the new normal. Okay, so there. So this will be my presentation outline for this afternoon. I'll be discussing with you some background information on information literacy as a program. Then I'll proceed with the framework. There are several frames, 6 frames, and then just one slide about standards for distance learning, and then our information literacy program, and then how we prepared our modules, how we prepared it how we created guides to supplement those modules, and then are we going to have both synchronous or depending on the method of teaching that we would like. It depends on the pedagogy. So we prepared also voiceover slides converted into videos if you want it to be asynchronous, and then some topics on accessibility issues, some collaboration, and then available resources. So last week, if you were always tuning into the Facebook groups of librarians in the Philippines, last week there was a PAARL Marina G. Darit lecture series, right? So the presenter, Marianic Clevia, uh, discussed already library instruction and research support. So my presentation this afternoon will just complement what she has shared uh, previously last week. And I hope if you're interested, if you haven't heard her lecture, you can view it online in PARL's Facebook page. Okay. So information literacy as a program. So basically, I used ACRL as my standard. So here in our university, we also follow some ACRL framework, and ACRL is the Association of College and Research Libraries, which is attached to American Library Association. So there are actually 7 characteristics of programs of IL that illustrates best practices. So here are the guidelines. First of all, we have to define information literacy in our mission statement. So you have to go back again. If you already have your information literacy program, think again, did I include it as part of my mission statement? So you have to express it clearly in your IL program. So this is just an example, right? So the mission of our library, etc., is like this: is to develop active lifelong learners and critical thinkers in the academic community. So that's our mission. So you have to communicate the importance of integrating IL across the curriculum. So recently, a few months back, we were invited as part of a working group of skills working committee to discuss what core skills or attributes should our graduates have before they leave the university. So we were happy because finally they are recognizing the role of the library in providing sessions for our, because we are not considered as part of the core curriculum, and we don't play our role as an in the academic part. I mean, we are just supporting them, but we do not provide really a mandatory IELTS class. So we are happy that we were involved in that part of the process. So here, they identified, or me, or the whole group identified that there are several core skills, but I'm just providing you these 2 ones. So on the research part, if you can see here that we included with we try to influence the technical working group as much as possible to put in information media and digital literacy. And after more than maybe 5 meetings, finally they agreed to include it. And also on the core skill on information media and digital literacies, also somehow we are part of it, right? So next is about planning. So we encourage collaboration at the outset. What does that mean? So from the beginning pa lang, we try to introduce, or we try to collaborate with other sectors of the academic or school community, or if you're a special library, you can do that as well, or if you're a public library, right? So encourage collaboration at the outset. So what does that mean? So include them in your meetings, invite them, and make sure that you really know what they need. So make an assessment out of it. So because it's very important to build that kind of trust and relationship. And then you have to incorporate as well findings from environmental scanning, meaning you are aware of what's happening around. Let's say previously we have several groups of email contacts, but in the university they separated. So we are not part of the student group, but we can request to be part of it just to know what's happening with the student body. And by that, we receive emails from student organizations, from student council, and by that, nalalaman namin kung ano ba talaga yung activities nila and how we can embed during their activities and how we can collaborate with them as well. Okay. Next is administrative and institutional support. Basically, you have to identify person or persons to be the coordinator of your IL program. So it goes with responsibilities, and you have to make sure that these librarians are trained enough to handle instruction and teaching. You know? So also you have to provide sufficient funding. What does that mean? You cannot teach IL kung medyo kulang, so lack of support. No, I know the reason for this webinar is also to provide you some information that you can get it freely online. And by that, I think from the previous webinars, marami nang na-discuss about that. So let's say provision of software. Let's say you are teaching referencing or citation, but what software can you use to do citation management? So ganon. But kung meron pang mas robust kind of tool that you can use for your teaching and learning, why not um, propose it to your administrators and get their support, because it will also be valuable for you and your community as well. Okay, so what we want to ensure is to make not our lives easier, but also student experience, student life easier. No. Next is program sequencing. You have to specify the programs and courses where IL instruction will occur. Maybe for some, it's included in the English classes or other classes, no? So you have to ask again, is it part of the core curriculum, or is it a mandatory session, or what kind of involvement your library has for the community? Is it formalized and disseminated throughout throughout the institution? What does that mean is that you create your own library calendar and promote it, no, actively promote it. Use your social media platform to tell the community that meron kayong upcoming webinars or sessions or library orientation. So just a reminder for all of them, no? Next is pedagogy. It's your method or practice of teaching. In these frames, you have to recognize that your students, each kind of person or individual, are unique, and their learning styles are so different. Just like for you, if you're listening, probably mas gusto mo na meron talagang activities agad to make para mas engaging, there's interaction, di ba? What's important here is that you can see from your students and the people, even though I cannot see you, is that there is a desire to learn. So you adjust to their needs and you provide it to them. No? So you have to construct really emphasize learner-centered teaching. So there. Also, when it comes to communication and advocacy, you have to make sure that, as I mentioned a while ago, it's part of it that you are really embedding to the student groups. What we did is you can follow maybe Instagram accounts of your different student organizations, and then by that you will know what their activities are, no? Because you have to identify goals, no, with other academic departments in the university. Like, let's say you have a writing center. Here we have a writing center, but sometimes nag-overlap. There's overlapping of activities. So we set a meeting and made sure that they will discuss some parts that will concern the writing process and some parts that concern literature searching that the library can handle. So parang ganun. And finally, assessment and evaluation. So it includes learner, peer, and self-evaluation. But do not forget to do program evaluation. It's very important because it follows a process of program planning, evaluation, revision. So yeah, here for the pedagogy, it promotes critical thinking, and reflection. All right, now there is an IL framework. Again, this IL framework comes from ACRL, and there are 6 frames. So this framework recognizes students and faculty members as partners that contributes to the knowledge generation. They use the data, we provide them information, and afterwards, before they graduate or in every course or program, meron silang isasubmit, and it's knowledge generation, no? Because it's very complex now in knowledge ecosystem, and what we really need to find out is to provide evidence and truth, no? So yon. So first is authority is constructed and contextual. What does that mean? So just to sum up the whole frame, what we're looking for is the credibility of the source. No, if there's someone who posted the blog, you will find the primary source. Blog is considered already a primary source, but make sure that there are references that supports the blog. No, so hindi naman agad you are going to believe in that kind of information. So it's very important to critically examine the evidence and ask. And those are the things that you need to teach to your students. You need to teach to your faculty. Not all faculty members are already in the level of what librarians can be as information literate. No, there may be some of them who are confused. Some of them even publish in predatory journals, or some of them even attend predatory conferences. So we have to continue educating them and give them the proper platform. Okay, information creation as a process. So here, since the beginning, we all know probably what primary sources are, secondary sources are. So every created information may result in different formats and modes of delivery. So it's very important to find that kind of right match of information product with the information need. No? So yun. And then information has value. Of course, from the time we were born, each one of us has information embedded with it. No? But what does this frame tells us? When we are doing scholarly work, as part of the research process, we value the ideas of others by putting attribution. No? Information has a value because we try to respect other people's work. It's very important. No, na we just don't share and then claim it as ours. So we call it plagiarism, right? So it's very important to cite and make sure that we also give them the opportunity to provide different kinds of access, especially open access information. So if you can provide it to your students and tell them the differences between those proprietary databases versus open access, then you're doing a good job at that. Next is research as inquiry. No, so here you are going to open for intellectual debate and dialogue. What does that mean? Is that you're providing opportunity to engage. So when you are teaching your students, make sure that give them the time to ask questions. So later on, you have the time to ask me questions because it's for us to ensure that we are learning from this kind of experience. And you, if you are the provider or the source of information, you have to make sure that you have to synthesize ideas gathered from various sources, no? By forming maybe abstracts out of it, summary maybe, para naman yung iba magagamit nila yung kind of information. So it's an ongoing, it's a cycle. So you get information from others, and the information that you created, you share it with others as well. Scholarship as conversation is like you are seeking out many kinds of perspectives. No, to avoid bias, as much as possible, get a lot of resources or information sources and try to read them one by one and get ideas out of it. Now you have to compare and contrast and different perspectives. So, but what's important here is to make sure that what you're getting is a reliable and factual information. Finally, searching as strategic exploration, meaning you are going to search as broad as possible, you are considering different kinds of databases, you are asking experts in the field, you use gray literature archives, so on and so forth. Okay, now there is a standard for distance learning. Again, I'm loyal to ECRL. So just 2 points, no? The availability for all users, meaning our library has a main responsibility to make sure that all our resources, services are available online, no, regardless of our location. So they define it as a physical location, but because it's now virtual, so we adapted it to a virtual environment. Also, when it comes to instruction, you have to make sure that even if you're virtual, you still provide them information in digital literacy instruction programs in a distance learning platform. So now we go with our library's IL program. So there were a lot of discussions along the way. It's not overnight. I tell you, it started before I came here. They were discussing already this in 2017. And we asked a lot of faculty members to review the program for us as well. We presented this in the university library committee, asked their opinions about it, asked them if we can have it start with some programs first and then eventually it becomes mandatory. But until now, we are still struggling for this one. No? Yes, we have a mandatory library orientation, but for the IL program, it depends on the faculty in the program. So what we wanted to achieve is to make sure that it's recognized as part of the core curriculum. So yun. The framework that I mentioned a while ago has different kinds of knowledge practices. And here are the examples of those knowledge practices. Now, I will leave it at this, but the strategy is to present these knowledge practices to our administrators and expound it a little bit so they can understand the value of information literacy. And we did the report of this and we submitted it to the administrators. Now, here is our LibGuide on information literacy. And if you will notice, a part of it is the library orientation. And we have developed 4 modules. First is searching for information, and then evaluating information, how to cite sources, and avoiding plagiarism. Okay, so since 2018, we were developing and designing modules. So these we provided also develop activities and other forms, games, quizzes, something like that. And this is available online and you can check it out later. So these again are the 4 modules. So let's start with the first module, which is searching for information. No? So we developed objectives, and if you can see in the menu, you can see there what are the different types of information, where to search for information, and how to do search strategy. Okay, so we defined the objectives, and then these objectives were approved. Also, the next module is identify and evaluate sources. No? How to identify whether it's primary, secondary, tertiary, if it's popular, scholarly, or trade, how to evaluate them through different kinds of methods, how to evaluate science literature, even news and media. Now, let me ask you, do you still remember or have you encountered the CRAP test? No? So here, do you know what CRAP test is? So see, first, for currency, no? Because information is time sensitive, how current, but it depends on what kind of information is that. Is it historical? Is it about IT, which you need more current one, no? So also relevance. So does the topic relate to the research questions that the student is dealing with? And then authority, which you are, again, if you go back, you're looking for credentials, for affiliation, something like that. And also next is accuracy, which you need to find for the proper references. You need to look for errors, if it's scholarly or not. And finally, P is for the purpose, which you are looking for more factual versus you recognize if it's just a biased opinion, if it's commentary, if there's a clear objective in what you're looking for. And the third module is about citing sources. Here, we provided a guide on how citation, differences on citation reference list and bibliography, citation styles, because each program has their own citation styles. And we have also a problem with that before because not all schools follow the same format. No? So finally, little by little, most of the schools now are using APA. And then they're transforming it into 7th edition, and then citation management. And also the last module that we have is how to avoid plagiarism or plagiarism. No? So we like this morning we had a webinar session on copyright, so that's good. We can use it, but it's a Philippine context, but we need more of our own local context and maybe global one. So we have to check WIPO as well. How to avoid plagiarism, ethical research guidelines, so on and so forth. Now, so sample pre-post test questions that we create. Let's say, so which of the following is an act of plagiarism? So no, which of the following is an act of plagiarism? So A, translates a foreign language work and submits as your own. B, changing a few words of a paragraph someone else wrote. C, submits unaltered information. Or D, all of the above. So I cannot check the webinar jam or the YouTube account. So if you have your answers, just key in there and maybe we can discuss a bit later. But this is quite easy for us librarians to answer, right? There. So that's the correct answer, all of the above. Now, to supplement our information literacy program, it's very important to have LibGuides. So your LibGuides can be, you can create it in a Google Drive, no? You can share it later with them if you still don't have this platform SpringShare, which is a content management system, because of course it entails budget as well. So you can find others, or maybe you can opt to create your own blogging and then link it with your library website or portal. No? In these LibGuides, we structured them in such a way that there is a category for subject guides and there is a category for course guides. So at the current, here are the guides that we have already made. So in each guide, let's say if you click on APA, there are 2 guides related to that. If you click on business, there are 2 guides related to that. So that's it. This is an example of a free guide, which I discussed previously in another webinar. It's called Subjects Plus. So if I provided a link here, so if you can watch it later. But yeah, you can just directly search for Subjects Plus. It's a free and open source tool that can manage your guides online. Now we go to asynchronous or synchronous. So probably you did it already. You have your asynchronous way of teaching or synchronous way of teaching. But just to give you a very brief background of it. So asynchronous meaning hindi siya nangyayari at the same time. Now, the good thing is that students can access them in their own free time. So it's more flexible. No? So you can create voice over PowerPoint slides and then create short instructional videos, tutorials, which you can embed quizzes as well. So one advantage of it is that also it produces lower bandwidth kasi hindi nga, walang ang video content. But there are also disadvantages. Like let's say there is a less student engagement, no? Kasi hindi mo like ngayon, it's synchronous, but I cannot see you all. And there's loss of community. So it's very important to provide more flexibility to students because it allows them to view on a later time on their own convenience. So yeah. And then synchronous is real-time instruction. So there's a discussion to entire class. So live, no? So advantages, there's a sense of community, there's real-time answers, but there are also advantages. So kabaliktaran lang is a higher bandwidth and more data charges for mobile users. So, yun. Now, just a question maybe pop up and answer in the chat. Have you tried asynchronous or synchronous method of teaching or both? There's a poll. Maybe you can write your key in your answers. So, no, I'll give you maybe few seconds to answer the poll. Let me check what's happening.
No, you answer. What is the answer?
Okay, let me check first. So the question is, have you tried asynchronous or synchronous method in teaching? How was your experience? So,
So what are their answers? Like, have they tried both?
Asynchronous, there's 14%, synchronous 8%, both is 54.
Wow,
None
so
is
both.
24.
But there's
Highest,
still none.
there's
Both
none.
is the highest. No?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the answers, dear librarians. And now, this is one of the time-consuming part of the voiceover slides preparation. So before we uploaded them into an online streaming account, we first managed to create our own scripts in every presentation. So as I mentioned, there are 4 modules in one library orientation, no? But before that, we have to create the slide, the content of the slide, and then we have to prepare the script as well. So paano pa siya? And you have to train all different librarians because you have to listen to how they speak and you have to repeat it again if it doesn't sound really good, and then the audio, is it audible enough, because after that there will be closed captions, no? Good thing is I've learned also that when you are creating your PowerPoint slides, it can be converted into video format and then uploaded into a video streaming site, which is free, for example, YouTube. Now, here's just one example. No, I hope it will. So here I used only a screen cap to do that. So medyo stretch kasi pinapakita ko yung video. But anyway, ganun yung example. But in the real video naman, hindi siya magmumukhang ganun. So what are the requirements for that? Now, of course, the content of the presentation, which I mentioned. And then prior to that, during the in-person, let's say in-person session, we already got feedback from colleagues and a follow-up email after that. Ano yung pwedeng alisin, pwedeng idagdag, and so on. Because you need to revise, and then you need to provide assessments as well. What other things you need to prepare? Of course, you need, again, I mentioned script. In the presentation slides, there is audio. You can add audio, and then you can add transitions, and then later on you can convert them into videos, and then so on and so forth. No? So here's an example. Let's say we are talking because hindi pa niya, for example, nakuha how to do it. So you have to provide very clear instructions, and we are doing this online. I'm teaching another librarian how to do it. So it's part of, in order for that success to happen, you have to collaborate with each other. So yun yung example. Here in the ewan ko kung part yun ang package ninyo ng Microsoft PowerPoint, but in the export menu, there is a create a video, and then you just click whether you want to convert it as an internet and DVD, and then just a few minutes and you'll get the MP3, MP4 format. So yun. So also, aside from that, we are also creating our own library tour and video. It's not yet done. Probably this week it will be out. So it's a supplement to what we're doing. If you want just a sample in my Instagram. Also, I've mentioned accessibility issues. We have an office here, which is called Disability Support and Inclusion. It's very important that if you have students who have special needs or attention, you have to make sure that they are part of your product. So if you are creating a presentation, make sure that someone has to check on it also. And if you know the standards already, then without the person checking on it, probably you can check on your own if pasado ba siya sa standards. No? For us, I managed to get a feedback from one of our colleagues who is in charge of disability support and inclusion. And he said, okay, it's fine. You can post it, you can upload it because the sound is okay and there are closed captions available. Also, in doing your guides, in the future, let's say, it's also good that you are collaborating with a faculty member. So if, let's say for me, I'm in charge, I'm a subject librarian also of in the field of education. So, and this professor is doing a lecture on research. So we managed to create a LibGuide for one of her classes, and you can use it in also explaining some of your IL modules. It's part of it probably when you're doing literature review programs. So to ensure an effective online virtual teaching or instructing, consider this checklist that I created. No, make sure that your library website is already robust. This is a very important factor in a virtual learning environment. Without your library website, parang kulang talaga. Little, maybe baby steps. Siguro you have to improve it little by little. And make sure that you have a wide variety of e-resources, e-books, e-journals. And if kulang pa rin sa budget, then there are other OERs, open access books. And presence of guides is very important talaga to supplement, or FAQs if you can create. And calendars for your event registration when you are online. Because para alam nila na, oops, check ko na lang yung library portal and there's a calendar linked to that. So check ko na lang. And prior to the implementation of your virtual teaching, then you can develop or revise IL guidelines. If you have your old existing guidelines, so you have to revise it accordingly to the virtual setup. You can also revise your IL templates. Before there is no templates, you have to make sure, because there are many subject librarians and kailangan mag-sync kami. Hindi pwedeng kanya-kanya kami ng teaching. So we have to make sure that we provide parang synchronous din yung aming mga presentation. So online platform is present, which means you have a strong support from your administrators. And then you continue to prepare and develop and revise your modules. There's a constant coaching or mentoring that's happening. Also, always set a reminder that when you are doing virtual sessions that you need to record it for future purposes in case you cannot do synchronous. And of course, revise assessment. The major issue we are encountering right now is to how to ensure that our IL program will at least be credited or non-credit pairing course. So we are still in the brink of trying to get some approval about this. It will take some time, but I hope we will get them in the future at least, because if the administrators think that one important core skill is to be information and media literate, then at least they consider IL to be a part of the core curriculum. Here is just an example of how we create our calendars. Let's say I'm giving an orientation for GSE, Graduate School of Education, and then there's a date and time, etc. Right? Also, we managed to open a public discussion board for students. So we just opened this weeks back ahead. And then aside from your IL programs, why not also try to provide other forms of learning? Now, before, during the first and second one, of course, ano yan, in person. But now, because we are completely virtual, so our race also became virtual. So we are introducing our Infolit Race Challenge again. So we have provided objectives and mechanics. So the call for participation is ongoing. So we are creating our challenges online. So it's like a competition, but it's converted into the virtual environment. It's time consuming as well, and it's more complex as what it seems. Here are the previous ones that we had in previous years. Infolit Race. Also, we provide media and information literacy forum. So here's what we had 2 years ago and last year. So we involve students here, no, because they are part of the process, of the learning process. Available resources, this is one good source. If you haven't encountered yet, make sure to visit the website of the Association for Library and Information Science Education, or ALISE. It's based in the US. These are my references. Thank you so much po. So almost an hour. Thank you so much. Lai?
Thank you very much, Joseph. That was very informative. And thank you for sharing how you're implementing successful information literacy programs at Nazarbayev University. Can we take in some questions now, Joseph?
Of course.
Okay, so there's a comment actually here from Danielle Dalupang. It says strong connectivity, but hard to load some videos. Um, could you probably suggest how to address this concern if this is the situation he's having in the library, in his or her library?
Yes, yeah, thanks for that question. So I think probably you can choose the asynchronous type or mode of providing teaching, no? Kasi yun nga, mas low yung bandwidth niya. So if you can manage to upload it, if you create your library YouTube account, let's say, so convert your file into video and upload it there. So at least it minimizes yung bandwidth kailangan mo. Kasi kung slow nga yung connection, at least they can watch your videos anytime because it's more flexible.
Okay, so it depends on kung ano yung meron kayo sa library. If you can do asynchronous, then do it. If you can synchronous, then or both.
So siguro what you can do is try synchronous if it works, and then record it. And if it fails, then at least your backup recording can be uploaded. So
Okay. Also, there's another question. Do you make an assessment first, siguro, of the information literacy skills of your library users? Or did you make an assessment of
Of
the IELTS
IELTS, yes.
skills
Mhm.
of your
Actually, yes. Actually, it's in our case, we haven't done that. But you can always ask them questions, like a pre-test questions prior to your modules. Why we cannot do that for now is because maybe just a background, no? Our university is young, and there are many things to consider, not only the library. So if you bombard them with a lot of things, even in terms of research, now we have to make sure that we are going on a phase. So that's one good point. But to assess them, because hindi pa naman kami recognized as a mandatory IL class, we just do it based on the request of the faculty. So what we provide is pre-test, and then by then we know kung ano na yung skills ng aming students. But we did some interviews as well. As part of the technical working group, no, studying on the core skills or attributes that our graduates should have, we did some preliminary naman din, as part of just to know what their activities are. And actually, right now, even like a year ago, one of the student council in the academic sector even invited us just to promote plagiarism and academic integrity. So in terms of assessment, it's a good project, but we have to prepare for it and ask for budget also and a go signal, because right now we cannot just ask students. We have to go to our ethics review also. We cannot just do that easily.
Okay, thank you. There's also I have another question. Sir, I'm planning to make a separate library website. Can you suggest a free software for starters?
Library website. I'm not that technical when in terms of what is available, but I think based on my experience of using SpringShare, no SpringShare, uh, you're asking for free. Maybe some blog sites you can start with, no. Um, Previously, I think I created my own blog too, and it serves as my own website, like Blogger. I don't know if it's still available or not because I'm not using it anymore. So I think you can start with that if you can create it that way. But if there is a person in your IT department that can help you identify free websites, pwede mo ma-create, then go ahead.
Okay, I think there are a lot naman na open source na pwedeng gamitin for creating websites, right? Or
Mm-mm,
blogs. Start kayo
mm-mm,
tayo sa blogs.
Blogs, yeah.
Okay, so here's another question. How do you divide the work in preparing the modules among librarians? That's the first question. The second is, are you also using the LMS platform of the university in your asynchronous session?
So first, involvement of our librarians. We have to make sure that before we do something, we have to ask them who would like to be involved. Hindi pwedeng gagawin mo lang agad. No? As a team, kailangan merong effort, conscious effort that ma-involve sila. If they say na, okay, we want to be part of it, let's say, I'll be doing module 1, I'll be doing module 2, then we start to have a meeting. Yung next question naman is, ano nga yung next question?
Did you,
LMS.
yeah,
Okay.
the LMS,
Yeah.
do you use it?
Yes. So the library can be part of that LMS, no? Pero currently, we were trained already how to use it. But currently, what they do is just to get our presentations and upload it into the LMS. Also, because of this different kind of setup now, each school created an orientation guide para doon na rin papasok. So it's kind of they get everything from us, and it's up to them how to disseminate that. But we also upload it in our own portal.
Okay, I think that's what most libraries are doing right now. They like embed it in the LMS
Mhm,
of of their school.
mhm.
Okay, so another question is, someone's interested, Sir Joseph, with your Infolit challenge, your virtual uh, Infolit challenge. How did you do it? Pa-share daw.
How did we do it? So currently are still developing some of the challenges. So let's say for this year, we identified 9 or 10. So based on your objectives, kung ano yung magiging challenges. Let's say ang objective mo is how to search for information. No? Given that you have these different kinds of database, let's say your challenge is to look for this specific item in this database, and then we are also thinking of a way how to really manage it, because since it's a step-by-step process, no? Let's say, you know how it works, Amazing Race works, no? Paunahan yan, diba?
Amazing
yeah,
race.
yeah. Mala Amazing Race. So, kung sa in-person, it's a live, takbo talaga sila, takbuhan sila within the library. For this time naman, virtually. So, medyo challenging task siya. So, we are still studying it, pero we are continuing doing that because I think we will be having it in September na. So we are preparing the challenges, and then we're using a virtual platform, and then yun. Siguro later on yung results, challenges namin, we can share it later. But for now, tingnan muna natin para may surprise.
Nasa on the works pa yan. Under construction and
But it will happen.
Yes. Okay, there's another question. Sir, can you give example of information literacy lesson during this pandemic for school libraries naman?
For school libraries, I think we value the same kind of things, no? We want to teach our students, young students, high school then, how to properly search for information. I think you can, I can share with you, or you can just search for now, go to our LibGuide, and there is, you can find there all our 4 modules. You can adapt it based on your collection, because if you are trying to teach them how to use your collections, then you can adapt it accordingly.
Parang we're just, yung kahit school or academic libraries, there are
It's just the
skills
same naman.
naman ang gusto nating matutunan ng users natin.
Yeah, skills, yes.
So, on the side naman ng librarians, what competencies do you think should a librarian have to deliver effective information literacy programs?
First of all, very important na we know the value of information. Sometimes we librarians, we ask other people pa, it's like hindi natin alam kung ano yung ginagawa natin, no? Like, for example, we are not aware sometimes that we are sharing information that are probably the content as a bias. So before we can even tell others what and what not to do, we have to make sure that we know them by ourselves and by heart. So it is a lifelong learning process. So the competency, when you are still studying library and information science, I hope you're gaining them and keep on reviewing and assessing yourself. Am I the type of librarian that will make sure that I am providing equal access to information? I am teaching my students how to search and retrieve that information, and I am providing them or giving them evaluation criteria on what information to use and what information not to use. If you think this, even the crap test yourself. There are different kinds of free webinar, not webinars, MOOC, open online courses, no? And then train yourself. Until now, I'm still training myself. I don't stop from learning because laging may new information. Basically, if you have the foundation already, as a competitive librarian, na you have those skills already, then you are good. But sometimes, also, please, for the librarians, do not also yung parang wag naman kayong masaktan if someone is also correcting you, no? Me, I'm always open na if I did something wrong, let's say, I'll give you a scenario. One friend invited me for a birthday party. And in this invitation, there's a GIF. I didn't open the GIF because I was so tired and lazy. But I realized it's my fault because I asked her, when is this birthday? But I didn't click the GIF. So that's my problem. Kasi I should have done my part as a person, not even as a librarian. So, yun, no? You have to know also and recognize sometimes you have mistakes and accept it.
It's very humbling, Joseph, coming from you, na alam ko, ang dami ng alam gawin, lalo sa technical mga IT part, di ba? Believe ako to kay Sir Joseph sa pagdating sa mga ganyan. Okay, so I think we still have another question. LMS is an online library program. Is that separate?
Library management system or learning management
I
system?
think this, he just put LMS. I'm not sure if it's library or learning management system. LMS is an online library program. Is that separate? Probably library management system. Or the
We call it integrated library system, right?
Yeah, for the
I'm not sure.
libraries, it's an integrated library system. For the LMS, it's the one that schools use for delivering instruction, right?
Yes, yes.
Online.
So for us, nasagot ko na I think nina yata.
Let's move na lang to this next question. Sir, can you share best examples to deliver library service to upland or remote areas?
This is very challenging, no? Are we saying that talagang walang internet connection? And if that happens, no, talagang totally walang internet connection. And it's very challenging. And halimbawa, they are not allowed to enter or go into the campus or library. I don't know. It's really difficult to say or to recommend something. It's like, you think of your budget. Let's say, we have a service called book delivery service right now because students cannot enter campus. What we're doing is we deliver books to them. So, ano yung mga requirements? Personnel, budget, ganun ba gagawin mo? Magtuturo ka, pupunta ka bahay-bahay. Of course, you cannot do that. Maybe once a week or twice a week if kaya naman ma-upload sa iyong website or give them some modules, no, whether it's in print or video format or maybe audio if you want. I hope you can do. Pero yung kung mismo hindi ko pa alam actually kung paano ko yan gagawin na sa upland talagang totally no internet connection and you cannot see your students. I think it's a really great challenge and hanga ako kung may magagawa ka na action about this. I really don't know what to do. Kasi nasanay na tayo ng lahat electronic, online.
Kasi ganun yung problem din ngayon, di ba? Yung pag walang face-to-face dito sa Philippines, yung sa mga schools, no face-to-face ka, yun din ang inisip na how will they deliver teaching, lalo na yung mga sa malalayong lugar, yung upland and remote areas. Pero I think they're doing, sending modules or partnering with the church or some local organizations to deliver the modules, especially mga from DepEd schools. Parang ganun. Sa libraries, I think siguro ganun din ang na-experience ng mga libraries sa malalayong lugar natin. That's why
Yeah, we need to ask, no? I mean talaga from the ground, ano yung nangyayari doon? I think maybe probably next time DepEd librarians can share their thoughts because it's really difficult. I don't know what to do with this kind of situation. If ako yung nandun, it will be really a great challenge. Maybe I will be creative if I'm nandun na ako sa situation na yun, no? Lahat ng creative things na pwede kong gawin just to serve my community. So, ganun nga. Pero you have to count how many students yun makikinabang. So, I think DepEd naman nangako, di ba? Na provide sila ng platform for virtual. Ang problema is the student. Meron ba siya nung gadget? Meron ba siya nung equipment? May internet connection ba siya? Yun yung problema. At sana ma-address nga siya nationally, regionally, at locally.
So, another question. We can still take in some questions, no? We still have time.
Yes, we have time.
This is a question, Joseph. What challenges have you encountered in providing online literacy program? Thank you.
What challenges? Yun nga, let's say for example, one of the challenges is to help one of my colleagues convert her presentation into the video format. So it really takes a lot of time because we keep on exchanging audio recorded messages first. Kasi we have to ensure that the audio recording that she's doing is synced with the presentation. And also, we have some problems with her speech. So we have to correct it as well. So yun yung isang challenge ko. So it took me maybe 3 or a month para matapos namin yung just one module na yun. So one challenge yun. Because we are not also doing it face to face, no? We are doing it online. So every day we're communicating how to improve the module that she's doing. Ganun.
Okay. You mentioned na in relation to that, yung kanina sa slides mo, yung voice over slides or videos.
Mm-hmm.
What's the simplest or user friendly na program na pwedeng gamitin sa mga ganito para
I think Microsoft PowerPoint. Lahat naman tayo sana meron kung di tayo kung Mac users, diba? Pero yun, Microsoft PowerPoint, tapos yun nga, gawin mo muna yung content mo, and then add your audio, and then put some transitions. You have to put some timing as well. I think I gave some instructions then in one of my slides how to do it. Like you need to loop it, you need to count the duration of time, and then after that, kung finish na talaga, wala nang problems, then you export it and then convert it into video and upload it into a video sharing site like YouTube.
Yeah, but is that the latest version of Windows?
So what is ano ba yung gamit ko? Wait a minute. Yun nga, sabi ko nga rin kanina, it depends nga no kung part ba yun ng package or automatic. So siguro I am lucky na meron yung PowerPoint ko nito. For some, probably we need to upgrade yun. I mean, in this virtual environment, we really need support. So it's between do you have the money, you don't have the money, and how to deal with it. If not, then probably just a simple presentation and upload it in the Google Drive and share it.
Okay.
Or why not video yourself then? I mean, some people do, but of course, before you can video yourself, kailangan may camera sa equipment.
Yes, that's right. Okay, another question is, Sir Joseph, how do you evaluate your literacy program?
How do we evaluate? So first muna, self-evaluation muna siya, program evaluation. No? Since hindi pa nga siya mandatory and we are just testing out the waters out there, we get feedback first from the faculty. So each time we present into a class, and if the faculty is there right after that, we get feedback from them. Also, when we conduct lectures, meron kaming Qualtrics survey. It's an evaluation coming naman from the students. Doon lang namin malalaman kung anong natutunan nila, but hindi yung paraan kung paano namin na-deliver. Kung paano namin na-deliver comes from the faculty with a learning experience sa students. So there's a survey.
Okay, are there any more questions? No more. Nasagot na naman ata lahat, Joseph, yung kanilang questions. It was very interesting discussion with you, Joseph. At this point, we'd like to thank you in behalf of the BU Library System. Thank you very much for not hesitating to serve our speaker for our webinar this afternoon. Thank you very much kahit nasa malayo ka. Parang malapit din. Thank you very much for responding.
Oh, yeah.
So all our
Thank
emails.
you, Ben. And if you have questions, just email me.
Yes. So we are going to, we'll be sending the copy ng presentation ni Sir Joseph to your email for those who are asking if they can have your a copy of your presentation, Sir Joseph.
I'll send it to you pala, no? Updated one.
And then we'll send it, the PDF file to the email of our participants. Thank you again, Sir Joseph Jos Mabalo sa imo, and keep safe there in Kazakhstan. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So, at this juncture, we will proceed immediately with to our next topic. So I will be introducing our next speaker. Actually, when this topic was approved by the group, she was the first person that came to mind because of the innovations that she has done in their library since she sat as provincial librarian of the Laguna Provincial Library in 2018. She finished her Bachelor of Library and Information Science and Master of Library and Information Science, both from UP Diliman. She has 16 years of professional experience as a librarian and has served as officer for different library professional organizations. Her research interests include library networking, library collection and services, records management and preservation. She has also presented her research outputs in different local and international conferences. As the current provincial librarian, she is enthusiastic in community outreach programs and other library projects to support the educational programs of the provincial government. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming the provincial librarian of the Laguna Provincial Library, Miss Justina P. Garcia. Hi, Tina. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nanay.
Hi.
Malinaw ba ako?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. So, to the moderator of this webinar entitled The Road Ahead, Challenges and Responses of Libraries in the New Normal, the Bicol University Library System and the Regalo Touching Lives, thank you for inviting me to share my knowledge about the challenges, responses, and approach of public libraries amidst COVID-19, particularly the Laguna Provincial Library experience. Okay, to start my sharing, okay, not a presentation, siguro a sharing because this is about practices and experiences and approach. So, about the current status of public libraries in the new normal. According to publiclibrariesnews.com, the new normal 2020, the last couple of weeks have been marked by the settling down of the new normal. More library staff have been redeployed to other services, and more people continue to discover and use library online resources. What's not yet clear is when libraries will get back to normal and what that will be. Certainly, the pandemic has an enormous impact to public libraries and its services as well. And now for the new normal, even not totally closed, but considering the skeletal workforce in the public libraries, we consider the public safety and as well as our library staff. And now for the new normal, most public libraries experience a detailed works to other departments. So for example, in the libraries, when they experience skeletal work schedule or closed during the lockdown, staff were detailed to other departments like health department to assist them in the records and in preparing the records and documents. However, the public libraries are thinking how the library will continue to function by discovering new online resources and services to serve the community in the new normal. So with that, public libraries are seeing that the future of libraries is seamlessly physical and digital, which the library started practice communicating physically and physically and digital in the community. To give a background about public libraries in the new normal, we know that public library serves a vital role in the community, providing sources of information and research to support the education and learning of the general public. In this situation, public libraries are facing hard choices around which services to offer and how, ranging from minimal restrictions to full closure. We are aware that governments themselves are taking different approaches, sometimes ordering the closure of all institutions, other indicating that life should continue as usual. So we consider safety of our personnel or government workers, and others simply leaving decisions up to library directors or heads. Public libraries across the country are managing a far-reaching transition from a primarily print environment to an increasingly digital one to gradually resume their services to this community. In this situation, this is a great challenge for our public libraries and to us public librarians. Which services to offer and how because of many restrictions and considerations like public safety of our community and our library staff. So from this, there is really a transition need. Though not totally offering digital environment in order not to stop our services, knowing that we are catering the information and research needs of our general public. So what are the challenges of public libraries in the new normal? So for 4 months, the libraries, like other institutions, are closed entirely. And after the quarantine status has been lifted, most public libraries think and consider of best approach, even offering restrictions and limited services in reopening their libraries in this time of pandemic. However, so we are facing issues and challenges for the public libraries. So because we are public libraries, unlike in the academe, okay, so these are our challenges. So in the public libraries, the lack of internet facility, both library and at home, okay, because most of the staff are connected using their data connection. So um, there is really a need of raising these issues. Skills and capability of library staff to work remotely. Okay, because as we can see, there are few in the public libraries, we have limited staff, and most of them are not young. Okay, so we need to consider the skills and capability of library staff. Adaptability to various virtual platforms to reach the public, balancing of library staff to work physically or online. So considering their safety, okay, and protecting health and well-being. So either communication working from home with the library staff. Okay. This is related to IT or internet connection. So what are the new methods to deliver programs and services to make a more accessible library in the new normal? So what are the techniques and approach to deliver programs? Libraries' digital as well as physical role in providing information and services is recognized in the public setting. So we consider this as challenge because since there is a need in transition, so public libraries really need to consider the role of from both physical and digital. So librarians and staff are being reassigned to other duties in other departments within their municipalities. So this is also a challenge because when the library is closed, the librarians and other staff need to perform other duties. Google information may surface against the use of library resources because not all public libraries have access to e-resources or subscribe to e-resources like journals and periodicals. So mostly our community will depend on Google information. Public libraries landscape in the new normal. So in reopening our libraries to provide continuous information service to our community, most public libraries make decisions on how to provide access to physical materials and other resources, considering limitations and restrictions for the safety of both users and library personnel. So what are the current trends, responses, and approach in public library landscape in the new normal? So these are the trends to consider. The role of the library. So we need to combine the approach of physical and digital, staffing concern, if the number of staff and their capability to perform remote communication. And then communication and collaboration. Okay, this is very important. And raising issues and concerns. So what are the responses of an approach of public libraries in the new normal? So we started performing this in the new normal, other libraries also. So activities, programs, meetings, workshops, trainings, and celebrations of library-related festivals shifted virtual to limit human contacts, putting existing activities online and inventing new ones, developing new library guidelines, including safety standards on physical and virtual access and use of library resources. Safety should be a priority, implementing regular cleaning process and disinfection, or implement quarantine policies on return materials. Consider staff skeletal work schedule or working from home, shifting to remote working and communication, implementing plans to offer remote services, use of online tools and technologies to support online learning for students and researchers of our community. Promote online services and resources, and that services can still be provided digitally to limit numbers looking to visit the library physically. Communicate clearly about any new rules to library users, both online and on-site, and provide regular updates, ensuring that plans are in place for a potential return to lockdown in case of new peaks in the infection rates. Like now, we are from GCQ, we go back to MECQ, the NCR and other provinces like Laguna. So we need to consider this. So now, to share the Laguna Provincial Library setting, experiences, and practices in the new normal, I would like to give you a brief background about the Laguna Provincial Library. So the Laguna Provincial Library is a service-oriented learning center which contains a collection of resources, facilities, and services catering primarily the needs of the general public throughout the province. So we do not cater only students and teachers. So the general public, from students to professionals and the local officials and government employees. It provides materials that enrich and help implement the school curriculum, government projects, encourages individual exploration and inquiry, and facilitate research and self-directed learning. The library is also a repository of cultural history of the province and involved in the programs of history and culture. Provide library projects and activities that support the educational, cultural, intellectual, and social development needs of people of all ages in the province. So for the current setting of the Laguna Provincial Library, so for now, the Laguna Provincial Library is currently closed in preparation for transfer to the new library building. After it's a good news, great news for us that after 65 years since it was established, a two-story building is provided near the provincial capital. So, including in his priorities, Governor Ramil L. Hernandez provided a two-story building permanently for as a library building. So, we pack books and other library materials were already bundled and packed. Wooden bookshelves are under repainting process. And the physical services following the new library guidelines will be available on August 2020. So pictures of our new library will be posted in our library website coming soon and our Facebook page after the library has been set up. So pag totally completed, set up na po yung library, we will posted in our Facebook page and Laguna and provincial website. So for the experiences and practices of the Laguna Provincial Library, so now we are taking into consideration the new guidelines in the new normal. Okay. And we started to open this to community. The library operation and services were totally ceased during the lockdown period. So no operation during the lockdown for, I think, 3 months. Only administrative related works were functioning. However, even lockdown, communication with other offices regarding requests for the transfer, budget, engineering, general services office, and admin, we made it through call or chat or email. So we have group chat, and through call or email, we communicate our requests, okay, to facilitate the transfer. Library programs is previously performed physical or temporary put on hold during the lockdown. However, we started to make plans for gradual reopening, programs and services to be shifted virtual or online, and making necessary changes to library guidelines for the new normal. We set limits of number of staff to report in the library. We implemented a skeletal schedule and work from home when the lockdown period was lifted. Our meetings regarding library plans are set online via Facebook group chat or video call. We started to design and develop the Laguna Provincial Library website in coordination with the Provincial Management and Information System Office. So we work on it during the lockdown period. So we have online communication with them. Okay. And now we are finalizing the website. So we work on it to enable to reach the community, researchers, and library users to offer remote services to support e-learning in the province. We plan and formulate of new online activities and services to be offered to the community. Reference queries are facilitated through email and Facebook chat. So we done this through during the quarantine period. So with those experiences, we know that we need not to stop just to deliver our services to our researchers. So what are the major library initiatives of the Laguna Provincial Library? So we will do physical and we will adapt the physical and digital role combined approach. So the existing library programs will be reviewed. So we will review it. And then what library programs could be done physical in low-risk remote areas, but limiting the numbers of audience and participants. Or we will do virtual activities in areas with online capability. Borrowing and lending books through come and go or pick up and delivery with online appointment. Browsing the online public access catalog to check the availability of books and other information materials in the library. So we also do this together with our library website, the online public access catalog. Okay, we work on this too. And then avail other library services and access to our information resources online through the Laguna Provincial Library website. This will be available this coming, I think, in the mid of August 2020. Okay. And the creation of LOISA. LOISA is the Library Online Information Reference Assistant. Later on, I will introduce to you who is LOISA, okay, of Laguna Provincial Library. Promote the library and its services using the social media account and Facebook page. So since then, we are very active. Our Facebook page is very active to promote and to promote our library and services and to communicate with our users, to give them updates and other information materials that they can use in their research. Formulation and implementation of the library guidelines in the new normal. So we do this, and later on, I will show you what are the new library guidelines of the provincial library in the new normal. And then, this is the most important too, in-house or virtual training of library staff to enhance skills and capability to work remotely. Okay. Every staff needs to have in-house or virtual training to enhance their technology skills. Okay, so following the health rules, we need to stay safe in our library. So what we are doing, so we do regular cleanup and disinfection in the library. Even we are preparing for our transfer, so we do regular cleaning and disinfection. And then how to stay to have limited or to limit our human contacts with other staff and library users for our safety. Of course, we need to observe most of the time and apply the physical distancing. So this is the library guidelines, the new library guidelines of provincial library that I made to be implemented in the new normal. So we have 13 policies or guidelines. So first, we still resume our normal hours from 8 to 5 to those visiting users, but limited. Okay? We will implement the no mask, no entry policy, strictly implemented. And then it is highly recommended that library users wear masks upon entry and when inside the library. So not only upon entry. We will provide hand sanitizer or alcohol upon entering the library. Physical distancing must be observed. Stay physically distant with the library staff and other searchers. Handshaking and other person-to-person physical contact are prohibited. And the visiting users must be 16 to 50 years of age. So no young children and senior citizens old. The library will allow a maximum of 10 people in the library at a given time. Researchers should wear disposable gloves on browsing library materials. After browsing, put the books on this designated book track for cleaning. We will offer this service, the come and go service for checking out of library materials for the employees of the provincial government of Laguna. This will be available on normal hours. However, they need to call, email, or message us to set a time of visit to the library. The borrowers may also request for delivery of specific books to their office. Books should be properly packed or wrapped when picked up, delivered, and returned for safety use. Returning of borrowed materials may be done through request for pickup from the office or drop off in the book chute located at the lobby of the Provincial Library new building. Visit the library website to browse our online public access catalog from home. The Laguna Provincial Library is working hard to support the information needs and literacy of our community during this pandemic. So our library staff and our online services assistant will be available for help if you have any additional needs. You may reach us in our Facebook Messenger, email us at lagunaprovinciallibrary@gmail.com, or chat Loisa in the library website for your queries. Okay. For the library initiatives, this is the great the initiative of the library, the creation of the Laguna Provincial Library website. Because we want to communicate and reach with our community researchers in the province. So we created the Laguna Provincial Library's website. So for now, all information is being already uploaded rather. So about the history, about the library, history and vision and mission, about the service hours, how to contact us, yan. Including our services and what are the resources of the libraries. Yan. So I think it's already done because all information about the Laguna Provincial Library, even the online, even our catalog, can be accessed by our researchers. Okay. So here, another initiative of the library is the updated Facebook page and social media account. So all activities of the libraries, updates, information, we posted in our Facebook page and social media account. Okay. So here. So for now, our Facebook page, we started our Facebook page last, I think, November 2019. And for now, we have 600 plus likes, okay, since November 2019. If you visit our Facebook page, please like our Facebook page when you check our activities and programs. We also have 1,600 plus friends of the provincial library. Okay, so one of major, okay, like the creation of library website, the major initiative of the Laguna Provincial Library is creation of LOISA. So LOISA is the online reference information assistance of the Laguna Provincial Library, who will instantly answer researchers' reference and bibliographic questions on articles and books and other information reference materials available in the library. This service is a complement to face-to-face information reference service of the Laguna Provincial Library. So, yan po si Loisa. Okay. So, very young and techy, looks techy, ayan, and pretty. Okay, so other online information services. So we post and share educational information using our Facebook page. Okay. So we check on the links if it is valid. Then we share it in our Facebook page to benefit our community researchers. We also facilitate online inquiry and reference service through email, call, or Facebook Messenger chat. Yan. So, mostly for during the pandemic, only provincial government employees access our library resources. Okay. And then other initiatives. So from physical visit to public hospitals, conducting storytelling using our Book Wagon Mobile Library project, we will offer the virtual Book Wagon Mobile Library Storing Project. So this is a recorded storytelling session, okay, that will be aired to our indigent children in the pediatric ward of different public hospitals in the province. Okay. So to revisit our library programs, I want to show to you these library programs that we conducted during the normal, yan, last year. So because from this, we will evaluate what programs will be conducted online or still in physical visit to the different community. So we have the Read and Play Summer Outreach Program. So in different barangays. So yan. We read stories and conduct activities, learning activities. We play with them, and then we offer prizes during the learning games. Yeah. This is a whole day activity for the children. And then we also have the reading and feeding program for out of school youths. So yan. Also, we have the book story sharing and learning activities for person deprived of liberty. So during the Father's Day celebration and outreach program. So yan. So with the inmates of the Laguna Provincial Jail. And then we have the Happy Library Hour. So we invited, in this picture, you can see our governor reading stories with the children. Yan. We conducted Happy Library Hour. And then the Bookwagon Mobile Library Project. And then we have the Books and Toys Drive Project. Okay, to be given to the indigent young children in different communities. We also conduct Brigada Aklatan. Okay. Then what are the best practices that we can share? Of course, communication is important. Okay, we communicate with not only with our library users, but also with the local officials and administrators to conduct our projects. And also, we follow the guidelines and directives from our local officials to implement in our libraries. Information sharing with our social media is really the best tool to share information and to know the activities and programs of the libraries. And then the most important is collaboration. You cannot succeed. You cannot make your programs project possible and successful without collaboration, not only with other libraries, but also to other librarians and to the local officials also. So because we invited local officials to our programs, for example, in the storytelling activity. Yeah. So to be able to encourage our students or young people, okay, to learn more and read. So training. In the library, you need trainings with your staff. The staff needs training rather for to implement our activities and programs. Yeah. So I think that's all for my sharing the Laguna Provincial Library experience in this in the new normal or amidst COVID pandemic. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Tina, for sharing all of those information, especially your library's guidelines in this new normal. And congratulations for the success of your programs and all the initiatives that you've done at the Laguna Provincial Library.
Thank you, Lai.
Thank you, Tina. And are you ready to take some questions?
Yes.
Okay, so for the record, the first question is actually where is the exact location of the Laguna Provincial Library? Kasi malaki daw yung Laguna.
Okay. So the Laguna Provincial Library is located in Santa Cruz, Laguna, near the provincial capital. So it's along Pigibara Street. I think I need to give the present address of the library because we'll be moving soon. It's along it's the old post office building occupied by the post office building, two-story building, okay, along the provincial capital in Santa Cruz, Laguna.
Okay, so that's the new building, your new library building.
Yes.
Um, Ano na po yung status ng quarantine? Are you under MEGCQ? MECQ?
MECQ.
Yes, because there's a question here. If are you open during MECQ?
No, we are not open during MECQ, but you can reach us in our Facebook and email. You can reach us there.
Okay. So, at I think close naman talaga yung mga nasa IATF recommendation yun, ma'am, di
Yes.
ba? Na
Opo,
close ang
opo.
libraries. Okay, so there's another question here. With regards, ma'am, to your delivery services, who handles the delivery fee? Thanks.
Because we will be implementing this in the coming new normal. I think after this MECQ, it will go back to GCQ. So the library, okay, will be responsible in the delivery because this service will be offered to our government employees only.
Okay.
So, yes, we can deliver because we do not allow borrowing of books to outside researchers. They can photocopy it, eh. But yung borrowing talaga, taking out from home, only to our government employees.
Okay. Sige po. So another question, can you share us your library services and programs during this time of pandemic? Though na cover na ata yun, ma'am, sa presentation niyo, di ba?
Yes, so
Yung,
I already identified what are our services in this new normal.
you have your Loisa, di ba? If
Yes.
Lesa has Laura, you have Loisa.
Yes.
Okay. Eto pa po. Can you allow your users to take the books? I think probably the question is, do you allow your users to borrow the books sa panahon ngayon siguro, ma'am?
Since I prepared the new rules or the new guidelines in the new normal, I think na-cite ko naman doon how to borrow books. Di po ba?
Yes, that's right.
Yung come and go service, we will offer the come and go service for the government employees or pick up and delivery. Okay. We will pack the books and they can request us to deliver the books to their office. So to limit yung human contacts talaga. Okay, we have kasi we have the liaison in our office. So he will serve as he will do the delivery and pick up of the books borrowed by our government employees.
Okay. So the next question, ma'am, naman is, are you not afraid that you may get the virus from returned books? What measures do you adopt to ensure that the library staff will not get the virus?
Okay, so since our borrowing service is offered to our government employees, so we can ensure the safety. We will pack the book, okay, before delivery, and then upon return, it will be also packed, and then we have the book truck where we will disinfect or clean the books prior to before putting it to shelves or return back to shelves.
Nagka-quarantine po kayo, ma'am, ng books? May number of days?
Yes. Upon return, we do not immediately after, for example, after cleaning and disinfecting the materials, the materials will stay in one area for I think 2 days quarantine, okay, prior to return to bookshelves. So yan po yung aming i-implement.
So, ma'am, with regards to Loisa, who manages it? Is it the librarian or does it include the library staff also?
Okay, since I am a one-man librarian, so I perform administrative and handling the programs and all related tasks in the libraries. I will designate one staff, library staff to handle LOISA. So thankful ako that I was given a new staff kahit po nagkaroon ng pandemic. She is a licensed teacher who will help me in the library programs. So yan.
So, how do you handle the overdue books naman, ma'am? There's a question here.
Okay, since for overdue books, since unlike in the academe that we have students, we have a fixed clientele in the academe, di po ba? But in the public library, we are open to all researchers in the whole province, in the community. So, borrowing of materials, we set it only for our government employees who are teaching, who have their graduate studies. Yan.
Okay. Ayan. So, somebody wants to commend you, ma'am, for Loisa. I would like to commend Loisa kasi kahit po virtual, nakakapag-render pa rin ng reference services. Pero tanong ko lang po, paano po na-access yung Loisa? Sa official FB page po ba ng library ninyo or sa website?
Okay. Lois, you can get Loisa in the library website, but you will provide links in our FB page. So you can go directly. So we will provide links to reach the provincial library website, and then you can connect to Loisa there. So ito po, this will be available, I think, in the mid of August because we are finalizing the library website.
Okay. And then, ano daw, may nagtanong din actually, how did you make yung avatar ni Loisa? Nagandahan kay Loisa, Ma'am Tina.
I thank you. Actually, I have thankful din ako that I was given a two IT staff. So they designed it. Actually, they sent me 5 avatar choices. So yan. So ayoko naman copy-copy yung itsura ko at Loisa. Yan. Nakakala nila ako yun.
Oo nga, kasi long hair, ma'am. Akala ko dapat short hair.
Oo. So, actually, yung isang Loisa is parang looks like me. Pero sabi ko, no, not this one. So, 5 choices yon. And then, we change for that 5, we have revision. So, please, the hair of this one, transfer to this one. Okay, the avatar's outfit. Okay. So, I am the one decided this outfit is for Loisa. Kasi bagay din sa kanyang look.
Okay. And I saw in your FB page actually that you were doing consultations with your IT group, ma'am, di ba?
Yes,
in,
yes.
in your website and the features of your website and Loisa as well, I think.
Yes, I think this is the I don't want to say that this is disadvantage, but this is for me this is an advantage of having communication with our ITs even at home. So yan, and they accommodate our requests. So sometimes medyo mahirap communicating with them kasi yung design na gusto mong ilagay sa website, iba, there is a different what do you call this, understanding when you communicate online, unlike in personal. So, yan.
Ma'am, actually there are many questions regarding how you disinfect the books that were borrowed, and how do you quarantine the process? Here is what tools are you using for the quarantine and what are the procedures? Um, Someone would like to ask the process on how you quarantine and sanitize used books or newspapers and magazines.
Okay, for the borrowed books or yung borrowed inside the library or both?
Yung borrowed books ata to ma'am, yung nahiniram returned books, how do you sanitize them and your procedure for doing quarantine?
Okay. So, during this period, I think one time lang naman kami naka-experience na um, from one government employee to borrowed books and return it because he need it to in his module to prepare his module. So yon. So hello. Ayan. Ayan. Sorry, nawala yata.
Wala ako ma'am. I think ma'am you mentioned a while ago that you do quarantine for 2 days, right?
Yes, yes.
Opo.
Actually, since the library is closed and the books and other materials are packed already, but we facilitate the request of our government employees. For example, yung may mga teaching load pa rin, even or preparing their modules. So they personally borrow the material. So I think we only apply it once kasi wala pa naman masyadong nag-borrow. So when upon returning the materials, this is for the books only because wala pa naman for the periodicals. Okay. So we separate. So in the old library building, we have yung yung children sections namin, our children sections, all the materials are bundled. So we do the quarantine of materials there in the children's section because that section is not air condition. So no air conditioning facility for the children's section. So we put our borrowed library materials there to quarantine. So of course we do not apply the alcohol or sanitizer.
Baka masira.
Yes. So what we do is the library staff wear gloves, okay, disposable gloves, then cleaning the books, let them open, okay, while the windows are open. Mas okay kung mas okay kung applicable yung quarantine if the temperature if during yung temperature natin hindi siya malamig or mainit yung panahon.
Okay.
Kasi if you quarantine the books during, for example, rainy season, you quarantine the books, nagkakaroon pa rin ng mold, hindi po ba?
Ma'am, I would, ito naman, to another question. With online knowledge and readily available everywhere and anytime at our disposal, how do we encourage learners to go back to reading books?
Okay. So I think yun yan, na-mention ko po yata yan as one of the initiatives of the Laguna Provincial Library because we need to revisit our library programs, what we can apply, what we can make physical or convert it to virtual activity. So ayan. So from like yung for example, yung major project namin, Book Wagon Mobile Library. So if we have syempre, this project is for the public hospitals in Laguna Province at hindi natin kayang magpunta ngayon doon because of the situation, di po ba? So, we will make it online. Okay. it is the virtual book wagon mobile library. We will encourage the children to read using recorded storytelling session. So um, for that, hindi po palaging kami yung nagbabasa, ako or yung aking library staff. To promote the reading or storytelling session and to inspire the children, we invited our local officials and department heads. So, para mas ma-encourage po yung ating mga bata, I come to that thinking na mas ma-encourage natin sila because our local officials, sila yung nagsiset ng as example in our local government units, di po ba? So, if the children saw them or hear them reading the books with them, so mas mai-inspire silang magbasa. Okay.
Opo. So, how do you see naman daw, ma'am, or assess the impact of online learning or activity to your patrons and students to their educational development in the new normal? Impact of online learning or activity to your patrons and students to their educational development in the new normal?
How to evaluate that? Yung current.
Opo.
Okay. So, I think that's one of the good question kasi siguro wala kasi kami pang evaluation tools for that. We only base on the suggestions, comments in our Facebook page. So, yan. So, I think we need to develop. So, we will coordinate with our IT personnel to have online tools to for evaluation how ano yung impact nito. So for example, yung ba sa Facebook page, as we can see, ilan yung nagla-likes, di po ba? Nakikita natin yung data, ilan yung nagla-like ng ating Facebook page. So yung basis lang namin, for example, pino-post namin yung activities online. Regularly kasi pino-post namin yung mga activities sa ating Facebook page. And we monitor the likes and reactions of the people. So, doon namin nakikita yung positive reaction. But I think we need to develop another evaluation tools for that. Kasi I think for future, ano din yan for future reference for our proposals.
Okay. So I think meron pa ba? We'll just check if we still have questions. Okay, I think okay na. We have all answered most of the questions kasi po yung iba halos same lang din yung content ng questions nila.
Okay.
Ayan. So at this point, Ma'am Tina, we'd like to thank you in behalf of the BU Library System. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Thank you for sharing all those information regarding your regarding the practices, the best practices of Laguna Provincial Library. Again, congratulations for all your innovations, all that you've done with your administration in your library.
Yes, thank you also for inviting me sa ating lahat ng mga participants. Sana po ay i-share ko yung aking knowledge about the challenges, practices, and responses of our public libraries, particularly yung aming Laguna Provincial Library. May short message lang po ako to our public libraries. So, of course, kasi ako, ang experience ko is almost 14 years ako in the academy. So, wala pa po akong 2 years in the public institution. So, alam naman natin yung settings yung mga difficulties natin sa public library, unlike in the academy, to conduct and implement our project. So, let us continue. Okay. wag po natin gawing reason or wag po tayong ma-distract because of this pandemic. Let us continue to share our resources with our community researchers. Ayun po. Marami pong ways. We need to collaborate. Ayan. So, in the Laguna, marami pong public libraries. We can collaborate just to offer virtual or digital services to our users, just to connect with them. Okay? And para hindi maging idle po or mawala na ng use yung ating print resources.
That's it. Very well said, Ma'am Tina.
Okay. Thank you po.
Thank you again, Ma'am Tina.
Thank you po.
So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our partner, Regalo Touching Lives. Sir Carlos Eclevia has some announcements to make. Sir Carlos?
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. If you're looking for more webinars or kung interested pa po kayo ng other webinars, so I will publish po, just click this tab. Meron po kayo makita a lot of webinars for librarians. Yan, so later on, we will share as well the evaluation form. So, wait, hintayin nyo lang po. And then, kung gusto niyo naman po makipag-partner po sa Regalo, just message me sa aking Facebook page. Just let me know kung ano po maitutulong namin sa institution ninyo or sa organization ninyo. This is for, wala po itong bayad. For free po itong ginagawa namin. So, much better po na let us know ano bang maitutulong namin sa inyo. And then lastly, dun po sa survey po ninyo, please use your email kung ano po yung ni-register ninyo. Kasi po marami na po kaming webinars na hinahawakan. Unfortunately, hindi po napapadalhan yung mga email na kung saan iba po yung ginagamit na pang survey. So hindi po automatic po yon sa system na hindi po siya makikita. So wala po kayo makukuha ang certificate unless i-verify pa po namin. So please, bear in mind na yung paggawa po ng, yung pagsagot ng survey, use your email address na ginamit niyo sa registration. Then lastly, yung pong mga nagtatanong po mamaya later on sa akin na about the PIN code, the URL, yun po kasi kanina 830 plus po ito. I will not answer po I will post after my I will post po kung ano po yung URL and PIN code. So I will not answer po sa sa chat box ng Regalo Facebook page kasi di po kayo nakapaghintay. So mga nakapaghintay po, you can copy na po yung ating URL ng evaluation form. So http://tiny.cc/bu-roadahead2020. So yung PIN code po, capital R, OAD, capital A, HEAD. Okay? So yan po ang kanyang PIN code. So again, we cannot update you po regarding sa webinars namin. Please visit our Facebook page. Nandoon na po lahat. Tapos lahat po na hindi nakapag-register po ngayon dito po sa webinar na ito. I'm sorry po, I think we cannot give you po the certificate. Dapat po nagre-register po kayo every time na sumasali po kayo or nagpa-participate po kayo sa anumang webinars. Okay? So kung again, na-flash ko na po sa screen yung URL and the PIN code. Hopefully po wala po magtatanong sa akin mamaya kung ano po yung ating URL and PIN code. Any all caps or hindi po lower maliit na letters po yan. The same lang din pong lalabas yan sa Okay? So thank you rin po sa ating mga Regalo coordinators yung tumutulong sa akin, sa mga coordinators po ng Regalo, especially Marky na naging assistant ko ngayon, and the rest of the sumasagot ng chat box. Salamat po sa inyo. Okay. Okay, so yun lang po, Miss Lai. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. We also like to acknowledge again, Regalo Touching Lives. Maraming salamat, Carlos, for accommodating us in such a short notice. Akala namin we will not be able to pursue hosting this seminar, pero nagawa natin ang paraan. Thank you very much, Regalo, for assisting us today. Also, Sir Marky, also our IT staff, Mike, Nicole, our team, our committee, and Ebio, Flor Delis, our moderator in the morning, and of course our university librarian, Ma'am Vic Olaguer, for supporting our project. Bicol University, of course, through our president, President Noli Mascareñas, and our new Vice President for Academic Affairs, Ma'am Ami Dorosan, and of course, our former Vice President for Academic Affairs, Ma'am Helen Lenaresas. Thank you very much. And of course, our speakers, Sir Rene Manlangit, Sir Joseph Yap, and Ms. Tina Garcia. Thank you very much. Salamaton po for honoring our invitation, and to each and every one of you who participated and joined us in this webinar. We hope you learned something new out of this through the whole day that magkakasama tayo. Sir Carlos already posted the evaluation link, yung pinakahihintay natin. Don't forget to check your email. So that's where you also receive your e-certificates after you answered the survey through that evaluation link na pinost kanina. We finished earlier, but we have to go now. Diyos mabalos po sa Indugabos, and marhay na hapon. God bless and good afternoon. Stay safe, everyone. Maraming salamat po.